Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Wednesday. Wow. Tom, you threw me beforehand. I'm completely off my game now.
That was my intent. I wanted to I thought that might bring you in with more energy and excitement when you do your little morning thing, but I guess that was not the case.
Well, no, I've got the Catholic guilt that suggests that, whenever anyone says I'm going to bring something up and you don't tell what is, my first thing is to go through the catalog of all the things that I might have done wrong to you.
Funny.
And
funny that that's where you go with that.
Lifelong problem.
Well, we'll have to keep working on that.
We need to find a topic for a week so I can work on that.
Yes. Well, it might be this one. Anyhow, good morning, everyone. I'm Tom, that's Bob, and this is today's Antidote, our daily broadcast where we talk about a topic. And at the end of the topic discussion, we try to provide the one thing to help you move forward that you can use maybe today or maybe in the future. It'll help you continue along your own unique pathway to success. And what we have found is that when you comment on our conversation, it enhances what we do. And at the end, after we share our one thing, if you would like to share your one thing, as we talk about decisions, and today we're talking about living with them, please feel free to share it in the comments, as we know that not only might it help us, it could help someone else, and it might even help yourself as you think about the decisions that you make. We talked about this Monday. We talked about considering decisions, and then yesterday we talked a little bit about making them. Today we're going to talk a little bit about what the next step is living with them. But before we do that, I want to give Bob a chance to talk a little bit. Maybe we'll focus today on what we have coming up at 1 o'clock this afternoon.
Woo, woo, woo. We got the check-in, check-up, the Ring of Renegades check-in, check-up. Yes, we're going to do a Facebook group. Join us on a Facebook page within the Ring of Renegades at 1 p.m. Eastern time today. We're going to see where you are with your week. This is a chance for you to say, hey, I started the week with these goals. This is where I am, and this is where I need to get by the end of the week. And also to get any expertise, advice, help from the people on that call, just trying to figure out ways that we can help each other be more successful.
So we hope that you will join us today at 1 p.m. All you have to do is go to Facebook, go to the Ring of Renegades. If you're not yet a member, you can join. And there will be a room that will open up, a messenger room that will open up. It's just kind of like some other platform that you probably use fairly regularly, that I got yelled at for using the other day, so I won't talk about that. So just join us there. And really, there's no agenda. There's just an opportunity for you to pop in and just share. This is where you're at. If you need a break, if you feel like you have a question or a concern, or you've got something you want to celebrate, we're going to provide that space for you. So just at 1 o'clock, go to the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. Facebook group, easy for me to say. And you can join us. Again, 1 o'clock Eastern time this afternoon. So we hope to see you there.
It's also a chance, Tom, to network, because you'll meet people and you'll hear about it. So we haven't really said that, but there is an opportunity to meet other business people, and you might spark a relationship, or they might say, hey, I'm looking for someone who can do my accounting services. And you might be an accountant and you go, hey, funny thing, let's talk.
So it might be one of those decisions that you make that you will be happy that you are living with it moving forward. So as we discuss live with decisions, do you want to share a few thoughts on that, Bob?
I struggle with this. I tend to go back and think over decisions and magnify the ones that I think I could have done differently, and I tend to minimize the ones that I did really well. And I don't think I'm alone with that. I think a lot of people do that. I also tend to spend a lot of time looking backwards. And I think that gets in my way often, because once you make a decision, you can't really go back. If you buy a house, it's really hard a week after you buy the house to go, hey, you know what? I'm not comfortable with this mortgage payment. Or a car, or even, I don't know, a piece of software, or a new computer, or business cards. There's a great example. I've talked to so many people who buy business cards and then they go, I really hate these business cards. I'm so mad at myself for buying them. And it's like, that to me isn't the biggest decision in the world. And what usually is going on for me in the back of my head is I believe that there's a right answer. And I'm not always sure I find it. And I think in trying to evaluate what's right, I often get in the way of progress.
Do we need to go back to a little math lesson?
Sure, let's.
Knowledge, experience, and perspective equals what's real, not what's right. And I think that's the track that it's interesting that you took because I thought about this morning. This topic almost is like living with them. If you say it one way and really provide some additional pronunciation on part of that phrase, you think about it in the regret.
Yes.
You can also say, yes, I'm living with them. And what I like to do is think about, over here. This is one of the reasons I put this up as my screen, as my background, is do something today that your future self will thank you for. So rather than living with them as a regret, what if you live with them as something that you're going to thank yourself that you did? And here's my little surprise for you, Bob. Do you know what today is?
No idea. Oh, it's the day we started the Facebook group.
It is the 1-year anniversary of the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. And one of the beautiful things, I know I've said this before about Facebook, is that it pops up memories. And so you get a chance to see like some of those things that were milestones in your life. And I think what is interesting to me is so often I look back at them and I enjoy. I'm happy for the things that I did. And, I clearly remember our conversations about starting this group in the first day and thinking about, all right, well, who's going to join? Why would anybody want to join this? And then, we started to get a few people to join. And, then we were like, okay, can we get to 100? And you figured out some different ways to invite people. And we both invited our friends and we shared it with other places. And today, as I look back,
John Hansen went out and recruited a whole bunch of people.
We had some loyal followers to today's Antidote. John Hansen among them, who invited a whole bunch of people. And Tim Nebergall was a regular contributor. So, what I think back and look back at that decision today is that we are living with, excitedly, what we decided to do one day. Could it have not maybe worked the way we wanted it to? Sure. And could we have done it differently? Absolutely. And yet, when I look at where we are today, that there are over 930 people who have been a part of this, and that I hope in some way, we have pretty good engagement, but I hope in some way each person in there has taken what they've needed, has had an influence of what they've gotten here, has had some influence. Some, I'm sure it is much larger. For others, they popped in, joined, aren't really that engaged, but hopefully they got something that added to their knowledge, experience, and perspective, which is ultimately what I think we started this to do, is to share what we felt was real, give people a space to also do the same so that all of us can find ways to move forward. And so I like to think about that. Yes, I'm happily living with those decisions that I've made previously.
Wow. I knew that day a couple weeks ago, but I didn't put it together until you said something. It's probably one of the decisions in my life I'm most proud of. It was you and me jumping off a ledge and not knowing what to expect, and we did it, and it's paid off in ways I can't even imagine. The people we've gotten to meet, the people we've gotten to support, the support we've received, and the knowledge, experience, and perspective that we've acquired just from each other within that group. When people answer questions, when they do polls, when they share what's going on for them, it's certainly made me feel like something, it's certainly overcome a lot of that isolation over the last year. And I don't think when we started it, we knew where it would be now. We didn't say a year ago, boy, 938 people in this group would be awesome. I think we were really just, maybe we'll get 20.
Right.
Maybe
Sure.
21.
And how is that any different than any other decision that we make in our lives? We don't know the answer. We don't know what the result is going to be. All we can do is make the best decision we can given the time we have. So all those things you were talking about before, buying a house, buying a car, starting a business, doing this marketing, hiring this person, letting this person go, all of those things that we do, there are lots of ways that we can look at them. And I think so often if we look at them as what can I take away from this experience? How has this experience influenced my knowledge, experience, and my perspective? And this is and how has that changed what's real for me at the moment?
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I thought you were paused. No, I was going to say one other thing is not only how has it influenced me, but it's important to me how it's influenced other people. When we do things and it affects other people in positive ways, that's important to me as well. I like having that footprint that helps others. And so sometimes I look at my decisions and say, yeah, this decision really benefited me. And sometimes I look at a decision and say, boy, that was a really great decision and helped this person.
What if all decisions helped someone? And we just knew that even if we didn't see the results, even if we don't know that something that we did influenced someone because they didn't tell us, don't you think that there is value out there?
Now you're really blowing my mind.
Well, it's interesting.
I never thought of it that way. That's good.
I was talking with somebody earlier this week in a little discussion in a group I'm in, and they were trying to think, well, what could happen? I'm going to have this conversation and blah, 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 blah. And I don't know how many people it's going to affect. And I said, well, I would imagine that for every single person out there, that we probably only get feedback on a tiny percent of the people that we influence. Because there's only so many people who are comfortable or willing to come back and say, hey, you know what? You said this, or you did that, or what you were talking about influenced me in a profound way. And yet there are probably a significant number of other people out there who have been influenced by us and just haven't decided to share that back with us. Or they didn't think it was something that, well, I don't need to go back and, someone's going to read The Renegade Way, the book that Bob wrote.
My mother read it.
What's that?
My mother read it. We're good.
Okay. And other people have read it and probably were like, I took this away from it that was really.
Oh, I was supposed to hold it up. The Renegade Way. Get your copy today. Just go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Look for it on the right side. How was that?
A couple seconds slow, but okay. Other than that, it was good. And I think that there will be others who will read it and won't really know that they have been impacted, and yet they'll be impacted. So they wouldn't write back and be like, hey, you know what, Bob, this piece of the book really stuck with me. And I didn't really realize it for a couple of years. I wasn't 100% certain why this was rolling around in my head, but when I really thought about it, I remembered I read this passage in the book, and that made a difference. And so I think that,
or it's in someone's recycling bin and someone pulls it out right before it's going to be recycled and gives it and takes a look.
We've been going on this whole side of look at all of the things that we gain from the things that we do. And what do we learn and we change? And you're talking about people putting a book in a recycling bin. I would hope that after they've read it, they might donate it to a library so that someone else, if they feel like they have gotten the value that they needed, they've been influenced in however they felt that they were by that, how large or how small, that they might say, you know what, maybe somebody else would benefit from this. And if I give it to someone else or I donate it, someone else may have the opportunity to gain it. And in that instance, not only have you, by your decisions, given value, they have additionally enhanced that value because they passed it along to somebody else.
I think of the value we give in that spider web way. You give it out to 5 or 10 people, whatever it is, and then they share it with other people. As someone who's taught college on and off for 25 years, I know students that I taught who are now teaching some of the same subjects I taught. And I know that there are things that they're saying in their classrooms that sound very reminiscent of what I said. And I used to have a teacher, and I would say when I was teaching the same course he taught, he told me these things. And so we don't always know that. And if you think about it, we come in contact with so many people and so much knowledge, so much experience, so many perspectives in the course of a day, a week, a month, a year. Who's to say what causes us to come up with something? It's the aggregation of a lot of different stuff. You could have read The Renegade Way, and I just punched myself in the face with it. And you could have read another book by Adam Grant, and then you could have been reading a newspaper article, and those three together gave you some great idea because you put the words and the ideas into something that fit what's real for you. And I think that's where, as I think through this, that's where I'm trying to correlate decisions to actual results. And I think what I need to do is be more clear that decisions are just decisions, and actual results, it's almost like there has to be an asterisk under actual results. Actual results may vary depending on the situation.
Yes. And what if they're just actual results? What if we don't have to place a judgment on them of whether those results were good, bad, indifferent, whatever? They're just results. And now the question is, what do we learn from them? What did we take away that we can look back and say, wow, you know what? At the moment, the results weren't what I wanted. In the long run, this is what I have gained from that. And this is what has influenced who and what I am. And, I think so often we worry about, and this is one of the reasons I think that people don't make decisions is because they are afraid to live with the decisions that they've made. Because they're worried about results and usually the results are immediate results, not what are the long-term benefits, long-term impacts that's going to have on us. And so I think when we start thinking about it in a regretful way of what am I going to regret about this decision, rather than this, okay, this is a decision that I'm going to make. I'm going to make it given that I've considered it. And with all of the knowledge, experience, and perspective I have, I'm going to make, and maybe some from others, I'm going to make the best decision I can in the moment. And I'm just going to figure out, okay, what are the results? And then how do I continue to find ways to live with them as I move forward? And living with them is really, what am I taking from that decision that I am going to have with me for the rest of my life?
I like it, Tom. I want to do a little plug for our Facebook Ring of Renegades group because right now, this morning, there's a great question. I know because I saw the guy who wrote it. If I waved a wand, what would you want me to fix for you on Wave a Wand Wednesday? That's right. It's Wave a Wand Wednesday. So if you're thinking, hey, I don't have enough going on in my life, I need to figure out what's going on with other people, and you haven't joined our Ring of Renegades Facebook group, which is today a year old, please join us there. We are gathering renegades, people who are trying to carve their own unique pathway forward, and we want you to be a part of this. And we ask questions, we put up quotes, motivation, we share information, we share experience, we share our perspectives with each other so we all get better at what we do. So if you're saying, I've been isolated or I don't have a place to go to get new ideas, it's there. How was that? I just figured I'd throw that in, Tom.
That was fine. I liked it. Can you live with that decision that you made?
I have no choice. It's not like I can undo this.
No, you just can learn from it, right?
That's right. So, Tom, today, as we think about living with decisions, what would be your one thing?
I guess what I would say is I think that if we spend less time worrying about how are we going to live with the decisions we make, it will be easier for us to make decisions. So if all we think about is, okay, I'm ready, I'm going to make this decision, and not worry about what I might regret about it, just think about, okay, I'm going to make it, and then what am I going to learn from it? That it will be a lot easier to make decisions, that we'll be more comfortable in making a decision, figuring out what am I going to take away from it, and how will I use that, live with that the rest of my day. So one day you can look back and say, wow, I'm really glad I made that decision. I'm thankful that I made that decision way back when, for us, April 7th of last year, to start something that we had no idea what was going to come of it. And look at all we have gained.
Nice. I like that. I'm going to put a couple of our comments up. Living with your decisions definitely beats the alternative. And I think that's something I need to take to heart. And Tim says, we see our mistakes magnified and our successes minimized. It's our nature, unless, of course, you're a narcissist. And one of those things that most of us need to work on in order to achieve our greatest success. Exactly in line with what you said your one thing was, Tom. I think Tim said it in different words. And I agree with both of you. I'm trying to think what it looks like to take a decision and not microanalyze it after the fact about whether it was right or wrong and just figure out what I learned. I'm trying to compute that in my head and see what that means in terms of a change in my actions. But that's good. I like when we make me think.
Me too. So I would just offer, if you need a tip, just go back to those 3 questions. Don't overanalyze results. Accept them for what they are at the moment. And you can go back and look at them later. What went well? What didn't go as planned? And what would I do differently? Doesn't leave a whole lot of room for like, oh man, I can't believe I did that. Oh, that was the worst thing ever. Or just is what it was. What is real?
Okay, awesome. Well, Tom, we should probably wrap this puppy up.
We definitely should. Thanks so much for joining us at our today's Antidote today. Please feel free to join us. Come back at 1 o'clock. Come to the Facebook group, the Ring of Renegades
Eastern time.
Facebook group at 1 o'clock Eastern time, where we're going to do a check-in and check-up. Again, it's just a chance for you to see where you're at. And you might get a chance to learn a little bit about decisions that you've made earlier in the week that might help you also make decisions as you finish out your week as strong as you can, or in a way that you would like to. So we hope that we will see you inside the Ring of Renegades Facebook group at 1 o'clock for our 1 o'clock Eastern for our check-in and check-up. If not, we will see you tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Eastern time for our next edition of today's Antidote. And if you are struggling, if you are like Bob and you feel like every time you look back.
If you're like Bob, you got bigger problems.
Well, just because you started this way and all of the things you think about living with, your decisions seem to have some regret and you're not quite sure and you're frustrated by why you did them, what they did them, and you'd like to have a conversation about that on a regular basis and know that that's there and available for you, you may want to join our Renegade Success Network, where we are helping people not only how they consider decisions, how they make them, but then also how they move forward from them so that they can then take the next step on their own unique pathway to success. So here's some further information about the Renegade Success Network. Have a great day, everyone. Are you struggling to make your vision a reality? Are you stuck and don't know what to do next? Are fear and doubt holding you back? The Renegade Success Network will help you determine the next steps on your pathway. Here is some of what you will get. Create your pathway call to start you on a better path. Unlimited laser solution sessions to keep you from getting stuck. Nurture your network events to build your network with other successful leaders. Monthly Renegade challenges to prepare you for what lies ahead. The Renegade Success Vault, giving you access to videos, tools, and tips on specific topics anytime you need them. And the Renegade Success Network community, an exclusive Facebook group of like-minded renegades, all working towards achieving their goals. You have a choice. Do it yourself and fumble forward slowly and alone. Or join the Renegade Success Network and be part of a community built to help you find your own pathway. Join today at renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Act now and jumpstart your journey on your own pathway to success.